Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. We want to wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas. And we are recording this the week before the first movie in Countdown to Christmas for to air for 2023. So exciting. It's our 7th year covering Hallmark Christmas movies. Can't even believe that. That's wild. But we thought it would be fun for this ranking episode to rank the first movies each year for Countdown to Christmas. And it's ended up being a pretty fun group. And we'll talk more about it, but I'm excited to do this. And I am film critic Rachel Wagner, and Terry's here.
Hi.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
So we do not have, because we were recording this week before, we do not have the 2023 movie in the ranking, but hopefully it'll rank high.
I have high hopes.
Yeah. When you're all listening to this, you will have seen it, so you will know. And of course, we'll have our recap with Anne and Camille that will be coming out. So you get to look forward to that. But we have, starting in 2009 was the first official year of Countdown to Christmas. They didn't really start promoting it as a block until 2012.
Yes.
But we technically have the first movies of each year from 2009 until 2022 in this ranking.
Yep.
So
it's a total of 14.
Was it fun to look back?
It was, because I had forgotten some, and then it's very old. Some of them are really old school.
Yeah.
Hallmark, and some are like, huh.
Yeah.
So.
It was fun to look back, because some of them I hadn't seen or don't remember seeing if I had seen them. So getting to catch up on some, and I, as much as we sometimes complain about the Hallmark formula of the girl from the city going to the country, hometown hunk, all that, those
it worked a lot.
I love it.
True.
It's so fun.
It's true.
So
that formula worked.
And I have to say, I mean, you can tell it's the first movie out of the gate, because I think that they would want to, in general, start strong. And so these movies, there's none that are like terrible, in my opinion.
No.
They're like all levels of decent.
Yeah. For me, the biggest crime is boredom on my end. For me, the most offensive was that it was a little sluggish or boring.
Yeah. So it's going to be fun, and I will have the short list. I will have the letterbox list if people want to make their own rankings. We would love if you tag us, if you do a blog post or a video. Let us know. We would love to hear your rankings. And also, we will have our patrons' picks. And so if you every week listen to these ranking episodes and are like, these women are insane, they have terrible taste, then join the Patreon and you get to put your picks, because I always put the topic at hand on the Patreon. And so you get a chance to contribute to the podcast and help us. So it's really fun. Check out the information on the Patreon. We really appreciate it. But let's dive in like I said, we're going from 2009 to 2022. What do you have in your last place?
So it's like, so it's 14 films. So my number 14 is Christmas at Pemberley Manor. This is the Jane Austen inspired, very loosely inspired by Pride and Prejudice. I think we've talked about this before. I'm going to put a little shout out if people go back and listen to our ranking episode we did with Michael Ratty.
Yes.
We go into it, and he's great. He's so engaged. He's surprised by some of our picks, and he talks about some behind the scenes stuff with this movie. But ultimately, I think it fails because it doesn't resemble at all Pride. There's like a promise of Jane Austen that's not delivered. None of these characters match like at all any traits of the book character, and Michael Ratty really is carrying it on his shoulders. I could take Jessica Lowndes, give or take, and I don't think she gives the best performance in this movie, but she's not, terrible either. But I don't know. There's no chemistry. It's a failure on the for me, it is the failure on the promise of anything remotely like Jane
Yeah.
Austen.
No, I agree. I have a tiny bit higher because I think
Yeah,
if I'm able to sort of divorce myself from that, I
exactly.
think it's
Yeah,
like fine. I think
yeah.
it's okay movie. But yeah, it's pretty much just name only. They just slapped the names of characters like the Wickham has no similarities as like the
No
town mayor
similarities.
and stuff like that.
Like
So
he should
that's
have been like
annoying.
breaking hearts and
Yeah,
this,
there's
but
nothing.
no,
And
nothing.
so yeah, it totally fails on that regard. I still think it's better than the Lisa Chavera one
Yeah, I
that
think
same
it's just a
year.
gimmick. I think it was just a
It's
gimmick to get, a
mhm.
gimmick for, I can't divorce myself from that.
Yeah,
I
no,
should
it's
be able
fair.
to, but I can't. But
Yeah.
I just think they used it as a gimmick and it didn't pay off.
Yeah, no, it's fair. But that was a great episode with Michael,
Oh yeah.
and it has almost 100,000 views
I mean,
on
he's
YouTube.
great. I can't believe he was so
So
engaged, and we shocked him at
yeah,
at
it's
our number
really
one.
fun. Yes. So that was super fun. I'll put a link if people haven't listened to that one. You should
Yeah,
definitely check it out. And it's our most popular, at least on YouTube, our most popular video by far.
yeah.
So that's exciting. So yeah, I actually have one that I admit is a decent movie. I just really disliked the ending and it ruined it for me. I have "'Tis the Season for Love" at 14.
Oh, I have
I
that higher
really
on my list, but I
disliked
get
the
yeah.
fact she gets her dream job. She finally gets to work on Broadway. It's what she's always wanted. And she has met the Brendan Penny character
Mm,
and she's like helping, the students and everything like that and finding that rewarding. And I appreciate that. But the script expects her to just give up and not it'd be one thing if it was like a job. No, this is like a 6-month thing, on Broadway. She finally gets her dream job and she just gives it up because she can't miss the Christmas recital that she's helped the kids for. And because she's fallen for Brendan Penny. And it really irritated me. I'm like, no, go and do it. You can still do like I know they say, oh, you can't have it all. You can have it all in this situation. She can totally still help the kids. She can totally still, do this 6-month gig that she's always wanted to do and live her dream and still be with Brendan Penny and still like it just really annoyed me that she gave up and was expected by the script to give up and that was supposed to be a happy ending. I hated that. And
right,
so other than that, it's a perfectly cute movie. I just really dislike that ending. So it's
right. Agree.
it's the end for me.
Yeah, I do. This is also the alternative sort of view of life because she has instead of being transported there through Santa shenanigans, she has a
Mhm.
necklace, so she has dreams of what her life will be, and uh, I
I
kind of
forgot
like
about
it.
that part.
They have sort of decent chemistry. It doesn't. It is very classic old school Hallmark, but I think this goes up a bit for me because I actually do like Sarah
Oh
Lancaster,
yeah, I love her.
and she doesn't really do a lot. Well, maybe she does and we just don't see it, but I haven't seen her in a lot, and and she had
Mhm.
a few early on in those days of
Well, Fur Crazy is one of my
Hallmark.
favorites.
Right. So she has a few memorable Christmas movies, but I agree with basically what you said. It is like the dream sequences were easy, but she's like, "Come on, lady, you can have it both. You can have, you can have your cake and eat it too." But it isn't quite
I
there.
totally forgot about the dream sequences.
Yeah,
but,
that's yeah. It's with the
but
necklace. Santa's being a smarty pants.
isn't she mostly though working with the kids? And
Yes,
she's
she's
a
teaching
teacher
them.
and
Yeah, she is. He ranks in. Of course, it always has to be your high school ex that you dumped,
right.
for your dreams. But yeah, he ropes her into helping direct the school play,
Mhm.
and I think she could have had her cake and eat it too.
Yeah,
So I
she
agree
totally
on
could
that.
have. She
Yeah,
she could have done the job on Broadway and then, which again wasn't like a long-term gig. It was like 6 months
right.
and still had everything. So
Totally.
that's just why it annoyed me. And
Yeah.
it's interesting because I was live tweeting it at the time, not when it aired, but when I
Yeah.
first watched it. And this was when we were just starting, and I randomly was live tweeting, even though it wasn't a new movie. And and that's when I first started interacting with Nina Weinman,
Yeah.
and because she wrote it, and we were chatting back and forth, and because I was like, oh, I can't believe the ending. I was so annoyed. And anyway, we started chatting back
Yeah.
and forth, and so I was like,
But
you should come on the
yeah.
podcast. And she ended up being our first interview that we ever had. And now Nina's been on the podcast like 7-8 times, something like that. One of our good friends. And anyway, so there was kind of an interesting backstory there as
Right.
far as this movie. But yeah. So what do you have at 13?
I have the National Tree,
Mm-hmm.
all
Yeah,
the way back from 2009. This movie confused me only because I swore it gave on CBS.
I
And
thought
I
so
was
too.
shocked that it was a Hallmark movie. And I don't know if I'm remembering another Christmas tree movie, but I'm sure the book that it's based on is probably more entertaining. And this movie really feels like the time capsule of when it was made back in 2009.
Yeah. No,
Because I
it
don't
really
think it
does.
has not aged well, I don't think. But I am not like, I don't see like, oh, we have to celebrate and I'm going to cut my Christmas tree down to like put it up here in front of some kind of, grand estate to lit up and then throw out like it was nothing. I'm not into that too much
Mhm.
about that. But man, was that kid annoying. That kid, like in real life, I'd probably like, hey, give that kid a kid a break or
Is
whatever.
Evan
But
Williams from The Way
yes,
Home.
so young he is here, but like fictionally, I can't tolerate that type of. He was so annoying. All his dad is trying so hard. He's like, the use of technology. This movie thought it was so cool. Like
Yeah, no, it really
he
did. It
thought
was
it
like
was so
the
cool, and it
his
is.
live vlogging, and I forget
Oh
what's the
my
name of his site and everything. And
god,
like, how about the
so.
fact that his girlfriend almost dies of
Oh, because she's yeah,
freezing to death
because it's
in
a
the
great
car?
idea for her to hit, for her to like be hidden over there with the Christmas tree. I mean, who's definitely dumb teenagers? Like that is a dumb teenager move. But yeah, this movie definitely thinks it's hipper than it is, and it's so
It
melodramatic.
is. At
The forest,
the drive through the
the
fire.
yeah, the forest fire, and I have to get up there and wet the tree, and it's so. Here's the thing: if I have no memory of this movie, but if I had
Mhm.
watched it back in 2009, I probably would have liked it more than I did this time around.
Yeah.
And if I had rewatched it, it would have been slightly higher because I would have had that nostalgia feel to it, and I would
Yeah.
have felt a little differently. But like, yeah, this is just definitely a movie that screams the year it was made and thinks it's hip and it's not. I mean, this
Yeah.
must have been like some kind of the over 40 crowd, like, what are the young people gonna like?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we reviewed it for in the classic Hallmark series that I do with Thaddeus. We reviewed it this year, so
yeah.
I watched it fairly recently. Yeah, and I was like, oh wow, because
It's
I
interesting.
did remember it being better than it was,
Yeah.
and the relationship kind of between the Andrew McCarthy and the
Oh,
woman,
yes. All
because
of a
she's
sudden,
like,
like
isn't
they
she
might have something
married
go on.
or
She has a
at the
fiance.
beginning?
We never see this
Or
fiance.
fiance, yeah.
Yeah, she has throughout the whole entire movie, she has one-way conversation on the phone with her
Or
fiance, and then she breaks up with him on the
yeah.
phone because he won't pick up her phones. And I was like, this is the most ridiculous thing. This is so we can like ship them together. And I was like,
Yeah.
they spend the entire
I mean,
movie like not really.
it's nice to have a Hallmark movie that's more about a father-son relationship, and I would
True, that's
encourage
true.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not great. And it is
Yeah, that
very
kid is terrible
cheesy.
though. Yeah, that kid is
And
terrible.
when they're driving through Utah and they're making the jokes about the polygamy, that made me laugh.
Oh my gosh. And he was like, look at
Like,
the
wow.
Mormons coming out. And I was
Yeah.
like, well, that's harsh. It's a little harsh. I thought, I mean, I get it. I get why they did it. And I get the person who wrote that must have been, I'm going to be so clever here with these
Yeah.
jokes, and that's
Uh,
another thing too. It thinks it's so clever, but it's harmless, guys. It's a harmless movie. but
Right. Yeah.
definitely,
It's a
definitely just
creature of
hasn't
its time.
aged that well.
Yeah, it
Exactly.
definitely thinks it's really cool. That's very true. Well,
Yeah, so cool.
my number 13 is for the boring factor, like you mentioned. It's the night before Christmas
Mm.
is my number 13.
Oh, uh-huh. Yeah.
This is I really dislike in movies in general when the whole trope of usually it's the overworked dad is a terrible person because he's spending too much time at the office, and usually there's some kind of scene where they're giving a presentation and they're standing and they're in the middle of the presentation, they're like, I have to leave, and then they go for the recital or the swim meet or the whatever. I hate that whole plot, and this is like
Yeah.
doubling down on that huge. Like, these parents are treated as the worst people in the world because they are, they're
Well,
working
they
and
are
they're
pretty
and
neglectful,
they
Rachel.
they I mean, they are the villains of this piece, and by the
Totally.
end they realize that they should spend time with their child.
The,
And
the moral
um
of the story, Rachel, is that Christmas magic can fix any dysfunction.
right. And it's so
But
weird because I felt like this movie was a COVID movie, even though it was made in 2010, because the
yeah.
whole thing was shot in like one house with like no budget, and
Yeah.
it felt like nobody's allowed to leave. Uh, and there was some
It
whimsy. It wasn't like painful, but I just found it
no,
very
it
dull.
is
And
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It's like it's a little higher on my list, but it definitely screams of a also of the time it was made. And but it was so nice to see a Santa movie again because
mm-hmm,
we hadn't seen a
mm-hmm,
Santa movie in forever. And
yeah,
then, but yeah, but I mean, they weren't terrible people, but they were like neglectful parents to a degree. But
mm-hmm,
yeah,
yeah. It was
it's
just the,
a
like,
little
kind of the
over the
ultimate
top, but I
revenge trope. Yeah.
yeah, I did like the head elf. What was his name?
Yeah, he was fun.
I think it was Nigel. And he just like because all of this is Nigel's fault. And like I was like, don't promote him, Santa. He used the wrong year in calculations. Like his like reaction is pretty
So,
funny, and so
yeah.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
What do you have at 12?
so my number 12 is this is the boring factor. You, Me, and the Christmas Tree. With Dana McKellar and Benjamin
Yeah.
Harries. And this is Danica's last Hallmark movie. And it's just so boring. It's boring. They're fighting over Christmas trees and
Yeah.
the
It's a
science of the
total
Christmas tree and
scientific
snooze fest.
farmer movie,
Exactly.
which usually those, whenever they're like trying to make like the perfect poinsettia or the perfect tulip or the perfect Christmas, like those movies
Or
are
how do I not make my
perfect perfume, whatever it is, they're just so boring. Those movies are
yeah,
very boring.
so boring. And this one was trying to make the tree like live a little bit longer once it's up in your house. I'm like, once you cut it down and put it up, it ain't gonna live that long. Like it's essentially you're on borrowed time. The tree is dead. You're on borrowed time until either you replant it, But by
I
then
do.
you probably fried it with the lights and all that stuff, so you can never replant those trees. But it was like, what is going on here? I don't care. And
Yeah.
it kind of sucks because the last couple of Danica films, like on Hallmark, were not that great. And so she ended her run for now. Who knows if she'll ever come back in the future?
Yeah,
Kind of on a whimper,
I
for that
agree.
on that case.
Well, my number 12 is the National Tree.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
agree with everything we talked about. Yeah, not the best. But what do you have at 11?
Oh, 11. Oh, my Lacey. It's A Wish for Christmas.
Mm, okay.
Now, technically, there's nothing wrong with this movie. It stars Lacey Chabert and Paul Green.
Mhm.
But it irritated me, and I was bored by it, and I didn't see any chemistry. It's a very typical sort of story, and especially for Hallmark on the era, and it doesn't do anything new. I mean, Lacey's hiding behind a folded coat and jackets throughout this entire movie, which is pretty funny because she was
Yeah.
pregnant when she filmed it.
Very
So that is
pregnant.
interesting. Very
Yeah.
pregnant, but like, so she always has a folded coat in front of her. It's hysterical. But Santa, she doesn't stand up for herself. She keeps quiet, and she wants sort of that courage to speak her mind. And Santa gives it to her for 48 hours. And boy, does she like let loose. Like she's had that inside her forever. And she's just like dishing it left and right.
Yeah.
And her boss that she has to travel with. And he's like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you so mean or whatever? And of course, he's a man of business. And of course, he has to have problems with his family that Lacey's got to try to fix, and kumbaya. And they fall in love. And I'm like, I don't care. It's just nothing in
Yeah,
this movie that grabbed me. I do see why people like it and think of it fondly. It's not horrendous. To me, I was just not invested. I couldn't get invested.
yeah, it's definitely a middle
Yeah, definitely
movie.
middle. Yeah.
Middle, yeah, for sure. Well, my number 11 is actually Christmas Wishes and Mistletoe Kisses. And
Yes.
partly I just was so annoyed that we didn't get a single mistletoe kiss in this darn movie. Not one.
And there are no wishes and there are no kisses. And
I mean, I think we get
that's what happens
finally at
when
the very
you,
end, we get like a little kiss at the end. But
yeah.
maybe. I can't even remember. I swear we got no kisses, and certainly
No, there are
mistletoe
no kisses. There
Yeah.
are no mistletoe wishes, and there are no mistletoe kisses in this
And
movie.
I don't know what it is about Jill Wagner in her, at least her last bunch of Hallmark movies. There's always the scene where she takes the person out and goes shopping with them. That they
She's
somehow
always
think that
playing
this,
decorators.
yeah, she's always playing
The
decorators.
majority,
And yeah, there's like even
majority of the roles,
the
yeah.
Paradise one, whatever, she shops for him. This one,
Well,
she
I mean,
goes
he was
out.
clueless in that one.
He goes, she takes him out, they go shopping. And I don't know, I just feel like there's a lot of sequences that were really could have been fun and magical. And I've read the book and it was cute. And
I'm sure that there are kisses in the book though,
yeah,
because
there are
I think that might
kisses.
be, that's a failure.
I mean, it's not like it's clean read, of course, but
yeah, but
from Jenny
Hallmark
Hill,
is never a faithful adapter of any
Yeah.
book that they do.
And
Never. So.
I mean, I liked Matthew Davison. It was fun to see him in a positive role as opposed to the the villain in Legally Blonde. But he was fine.
Oh,
but
he was Alaric on the Vampire Diaries. That's how I knew
was
it for.
he? Okay.
I was rereading my review and I was calling everybody by their TV show name. And by then he was on the originals, and I was like, I haven't watched the originals yet. I wonder if I should do that. And then he was on the other spinoff. So he was like, ladies, if you were thirsting for that time of your life, if you were middle-aged women like myself watching the Vampire Diaries with middle-aged men playing vampires who go to high school, he was hot in that show. So
well, I just remember, I think it's Brandon Quinn playing the doctor that she like dates for a little bit, and I'm like,
yes,
oh my gosh, he's so hot. Like,
this
I was like, I wish the movie was about that relationship.
This movie's a little higher on my list for me because I do love Jill Wagner. I can't help it. I just do. I find her charming, even in bad movies movies that I don't happen to like that she's in.
Well, I mean,
and also Donna Mills.
She is my cousin, so
yes, exactly. And then
I like her, but
Not everything.
Yeah, this one.
And Donna Mills, gotta give it. There's a great. I remember this line from this movie where her character is talking to her dad, and she's like, "We made this eye contact with each other for a hot moment, and it was weird." That made me laugh so much. But she acknowledges they had this moment where they looked at each other, and she's like, "Weird though. It was weird." So
well, and the little kid was cute in this. Yeah.
That's another thing too. We don't know what happened to the father of that kid. That kid just exists.
Yeah,
with
that's
no
true.
other half of parental. Like they don't mention if she's divorced. I don't,
Right.
or she probably would have been widowed at this time this Hallmark movie came out.
Right.
At that,
That's true. That's true.
But like this kid just exists. Like I got him somewhere,
Well, what do you have at 10?
At 10, I have 'Tis the Season for Love.
Okay. Yeah.
For basically all the reasons we already discussed.
Well, 10 is where I have You, Me, and the Christmas Trees. And it really only gets this level of elevation because I just think Julie Sherman Wolfe is a really good writer. And so there's some wittiness, there's some banter.
It has an interesting title. I'll give it that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's totally forgettable for this one. All right. What do you have at 9?
At 9, I have The Night Before Christmas.
Okay.
I agree with you completely, but there's some kind of, I do love Santa movies, and I like that we've seen Santa have amnesia before, but I don't know, it's bonkers. Like magic, especially Christmas magic, will solve any problem.
Yeah, they really
whatever
will.
you might throw at them, it will solve. So, have they learned? Will they start January 1st the same way they were before Christmas? There's a possibility that they might fall back into those tropes, but for right now, they were saved.
Well, let's see. My number 9 is where I have Pemberley Manor, just because I do feel like if you separate it, if I'm able to sort of divorce the whole Jane Austen part of it and just look at it as a generic rom-com, I think it's okay. I do think it is pretty impressive how well they did the snow in that movie, and I think
keep an eye out though for the sinkhole and that CGI.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
It just made me laugh.
That's true. I forgot about that.
I know that they feel that they were sweating. You could tell that they were sweating under all those winter coats.
Yeah.
So, but
I think if you're going, even though she's Elizabeth Bennet in the story, she's definitely kind of they're trying to pass her off as the sort of the Darcy archetype. And I think if you're going to have somebody like Jessica is a good person for that archetype, but of course they don't really, I don't know. It's better than the Lacey Chabert movie. That's all I'll say.
Right.
I don't know. It's okay. I like the little bit of Santa in it. But yeah, what do you have at 8?
The Thanksgiving House.
Okay.
This one was a rewatch because I had completely forgot everything that happened in it. I think I only ever watched it once when it came out, so I was a total blank on this movie. And I like it. It's a little too much, I would say, but the best part, this lady, she inherits a house, and it turns out that this guy is doing soils because it could have been the location of the first Thanksgiving. And so the whole premise of this movie is like, I don't want this to be, my land taken away if it turns out to be true. And also what I do, like, this is a bit spoiler, but this movie is like from 2013. We don't really get a definitive answer about the results or anything like that. It's everything. They've sort of made peace by the end, and everything's left, open-ended for the viewer to decide. But I love Lindsay Wagner. I love Bruce Boxleitner that they're in this movie. And the bad boyfriend of business and the journalist / blogger with no credibility, no integrity, as mustache twirling villains was like chef's kiss.
Yeah,
it was just so good.
I kind of wish I had been live tweeting this one because it would be a very fun one. And I don't think I'd ever seen it before. I watched it last night, and it was
never replay it.
Very fun to be reminded of the old tropes of Hallmark. And even her hair, it looked like she had so much
Wow.
hairspray in her
Her
hair.
hair didn't move 1
Yeah,
inch.
it really did.
Amazing.
It looked like a sculpture on her hair. Like, it's
She
like,
didn't
oh,
move
this
like
is
now
old
1
Hallmark.
inch.
It's so funny.
Totally.
And she's like the lawyer and she's lost her way.
Of course, she's
and-
yes, exactly. Also a woman of business who's lost her way.
Yeah.
She needs to move to a smaller town to learn life again. I don't know.
So
I
I
will
had
say
fun
though,
with it because of those
yeah.
tropes, but yeah.
This movie though, finding this movie was, I went through a 10-minute struggle
Yeah.
because this movie is, I was like, oh, it's amazing. If you have the Up TV streaming service,
Yes.
there are numerous Hallmark movies that are on there that are not on Hallmark streaming service for whatever reason. They're like the
Right.
super old ones. You'll be able to
Isn't
find
it
them there.
called like the Lending Tree or something?
No, it is called Legally Tender.
Oh, Legally
And I was
Tender.
like, what is up with this? Doesn't, because they've changed the name. Apparently, it was a Pixel TV that a Pixel movie that Hallmark eventually bought and aired it. But you know, after a while, Hallmark, it's a shame because I also like it because it's a Thanksgiving movie and we don't get a lot of those anymore. Like Hallmark has forgone making Thanksgiving movies and stuff. But yeah, so it took me 10 minutes and I'm writing Thanksgiving house and all these things are popping up. And then I just look at this Legally Tender and I was like, it can't be. And it was. So I just want to let people know if they search for this, this has an alternate title. I know Lifetime is very famous for this.
Mhm.
Lifetime changes the names of their movies all the time. Hallmark was a big offender of this too, back in the day, not so much now. But like, people, can we stick to one name, please? Because when you want to do a ranking and you've got to search these movies out, you're looking for the wrong name. And I looked at IMDb. It's like you got to scroll all the way down on the IMDb page to realize it says, oh, known by this other name. I was like, it should be in parentheses on top.
And I mean, Justin Browning, he is charming in this, but you have to say, man, the boy needs to thank his trainer because, like, he looks great. He's fine, totally fine. But like, if you think about in Sweet Magnolia, it's like
yeah, he does look.
Woo! Yeah,
and he is good here.
Yeah,
where I don't think he always nails it. Did he spend years on Seventh Heaven too, or was that his brother?
I don't know, but he, you know, so good in Reindeer Games Homecoming last year. Oof.
Yeah.
I love
that. No, that was his brother who's on Seventh Heaven. But yeah, he's come a long way. He is like a boy here, and he is now a man.
Yeah, he really is. That's true.
Especially because he was so good in Reindeer Games. He has come a long way, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, men look the best once they reach their 40s to me. Men fill in. They look the most mature. They just look so refined when they reach their 40s. And that is the best time capsule of a man.
Well, I hope that's true for women too, because I'm about to turn 43.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's our friend Jenny Hale. She has a new book coming out called Meet Me at Christmas. From the USA Today bestselling author of the book to TV stories Coming Home for Christmas and Christmas Wishes and Mistletoe Kisses, with over 1 million copies of her books sold, Jenny Hale brings you Meet Me at Christmas. This is a heartwarming holiday read that will have you rushing to your loved ones this Christmas. Traveling researcher Stella Fisher is called home to her family's farmhouse to help her mother through the first Christmas without her father. When Stella arrives, she doesn't expect to find Henry Dutton, the man she left behind. As she could guess after her heartbreaking exit so many years ago, he isn't speaking to her. What she doesn't realize, however, is there's a much bigger reason for his unfriendly reception. She quickly becomes the one person he believes can fix everything, but she isn't sure about that. She thought she'd buried her past, yet the look in his alluring blue eyes brings it all right back to the surface. If you enjoyed the Christmas movies based on Jenny's books and are looking for more feel-good small-town romance, look no further. You can find more about Meet Me at Christmas at it's jennyhale.com, at harpethroad.com, or use the affiliate link below.
I have it 8, A Wish for Christmas. And yeah, the pregnancy thing is super distracting in this one.
Yeah, it's like it's not very good covered, but that does
Yeah.
make me chuckle. They tried.
I do like the fact that I like the concept of her
Yes.
being able to kind of speak for herself, and I like that they went all the way with it. That
Mhm.
she speaks her mind, but not just in like a cute, clever way. In a like, oh, this is like causing problems and conflict, and I
Goes through
enjoyed
it.
that,
She could
and
have turned evil with that power, but she
yeah,
didn't.
but she does cause some major problems for
She
him,
does, you know.
and loses the big deal that the whole company is like relying on, and it also has a pretty solid supporting cast with Andrew
Mhm.
Brooks and Donna Benedicto, and
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
really talented people. It's a fun enough movie, but yeah, the pregnancy is super distracting. I mean, Paul Green, he has got a lot of charisma on screen, and
Mhm.
this was kind of in his prime period with Hallmark.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good time. 2016, Krista Will, and so yeah, I have it at 8. I think it's fun enough. I'd watch it if it
Yeah.
was on.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, it's harmless.
so what do you have at 7?
Okay, so my 7 is a series, the last in the series of films that I love. It's Love's Christmas Journey.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this actually is a mini series. This was a
Right, it's
two-part, and
two-parter.
I don't remember if it gave back to back when it first premiered, because I do
Mm-hmm.
remember watching it when it premiered. I own it's the last movie in the Love Comes Softly series. I
Mm-hmm.
own all the films. I love
Mm-hmm.
the series of books this is based on, that were written by Jeanette Oak, who is responsible for When Calls the Heart.
Right.
But just like When Calls the Heart, these movies match nothing to the source material. Absolutely.
Mm.
I think the closest they get is the first movie, Love Comes Softly. But they
Okay.
just run with, yeah, they are, Rachel, they are. It's really funny in this movie is that Natalie Hall plays Ellie, a daughter of the main couple that gets together in Love Comes Softly. This is all like, I believe this is the 11th movie, the last one. It's all, I mean, there's prequels, but it's all a story about a generation of family. Now, Ellie is a daughter in the books, but to this point, she has never been mentioned or seen in the series. So when she pops up, it's like, who's Ellie? They never even mentioned this chick before, but she goes to live with her brother Aaron, who's the sheriff of the town. And we haven't seen Aaron since the second movie in the franchise when he was a little kid, so it was nice for him to get back. Now, get in for some drama, guys, because Ellie loses her husband and kid in a tornado. And Aaron's right, so that is a lot. And
Yeah.
Aaron is the sheriff, and sheriff runs in the family business, I guess, because he had 2 brother-in-laws married to the same sister, by the way, who were sheriffs. So, and of course, he goes out on a quest and he nearly dies. But the cast they have in this movie, Ghost Ernest Borgnine helps save him, and Ellie falls in love with again, and there's so many people in this movie. There's Jo Beth Williams, Sean Astin, Charles Shaughnessy, like really names you would recognize. And it's a Western, it's a period piece, and it's not the best in the Love Comes Softly saga, but it's just, I don't know. It all ends up well. They have a great Christmas. By the way, we don't know what happened to her parents. They're alive, but they've somehow moved away from where they lived a majority of their lives. But whatever.
Yeah.
But this series has it's bonkers. The the way that who they focus on, who pops up, who doesn't exist anymore, and weird
Yeah.
stuff that was cut out from one of the movies. And but I just love it. It's
Mhm.
I love Westerns and I miss Hallmark Westerns, because they've got a couple of doozies in there, and it's just I think that if you like When Calls the Heart, you will like this. It's not on the same level, but it is very similar in tone and look, because it's a period piece, but nobody looks like they belong in that period, with the clothing choices and the hair choices. But
Yeah, I do have a little bit
There you go.
higher. I
Yeah.
also love the Loves Come Softly series. It was really my introduction to
Yeah.
Hallmark. I also had
Mhm.
I got them all one year for Christmas on DVD.
Yeah.
And then me and Thaddeus also reviewed this one for Christmas classics look back
Yeah.
episode. So I watched it fairly recently. And
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. There are some really hokey parts, like you said, the tornado is
Oh,
terrible,
sure.
and
Yeah. Oh my,
and
when that happened, I just remember my mind being blown. I was like, what is going on here? It's amazing to see.
and it's like barely a Christmas movie. I mean, there's hardly
It is
anything,
barely, it is barely,
hardly anything in here
yeah,
that's
it's a
Christmas.
preparation for Christmas, but
But I agree with everything you said. I
yeah.
really enjoy the whole series, and I love Natalie. I think Dylan's
I think this was
great.
her first Hallmark movie, I think.
I think they
It was
have
a
great
7-year itch
chemistry
one of them.
together.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm looking to see.
the guys.
Yeah,
Also, Greg
her
Vaughn,
first.
super hot.
Yes.
So Greg Vaughn is super hot. So if you watch soaps, you know him from The Young and the Restless. He's now on Days of Our Lives.
Mhm.
He's
Yep.
Allison Sweeney, which this is great. He's Allison Sweeney's twin brother on Days of Our Lives, and they did that movie, that
Mhm.
Hallmark movie where they fell in love, and I
Yeah.
couldn't divorce myself. I was like, they're twins throughout that whole entire movie. But anyway, but like I think Greg Vaughn was still on General Hospital when this gave, and so he is at he's
Yeah.
gorgeous to look at. Just watch it to look at him. It's fine.
Yeah.
We forgive you.
I know a lot of people only really like the first couple One Come Softly movies, but I like them all.
Mm.
I really
I do love them all.
enjoy.
You could tell it's interesting who they omitted and who they
My
chose and who
least
they brought
favorite
up, but
my least favorite one is the January Jones one. That's my least favorite, but I
that's the second one.
still overall
Yeah,
enjoy the series so much.
yeah, I know.
So my number 7 is Jingle Bell Bride, and
Mhm.
this is a cute movie. It is pretty basic, but great leads, strong, and
Right.
it is cool to have diverse couple, especially leading out the season that year was a nice
Yeah.
thing to have. And yeah, I mean it's she goes up to get this flower, goes up to Alaska.
She works for a Bridezilla,
Yeah,
and
also Donna Benedicto, I think. Yep, Donna Benedicto, who we love.
also like she goes all the way to Alaska to get this Jingle Bell flower. I would have told this lady to kick rocks.
Yeah.
Um, I do have one complaint about this movie. There was a ball, and Alaska is a Canadian town. They tried their best, but they have a ball where they give out like a tiara. I guess she gets up being a princess. I forgot what the title is.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, come on, spare up the bucks, Hallmark. Why is this tiara
Right.
so small? Like let it see it there. So I'm judging on tiaras.
Right.
I think we all know this. If you've been listening to the rankings, one of my, especially the royal movies, I'm judging on those tiaras, but it's sweet enough. Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
yeah. What do you have at 6?
Mine is Marry Me at Christmas.
Okay.
I like this movie, I think, more than others do, but
Oh, is this
I
one
think this
hated
is
on?
one of,
People don't like it?
I don't know if it's hated on or if it's not remembered that well. It's one of Trevor Donovan's earlier Hallmark movies when he was doing them, and he and Rachel Scarston have good chemistry, but he's like playing a famous actor in this movie, and he comes home and his sister has a speedy wedding, and it's because he's a doctor and he's got to go somewhere. It's never for the truth. It's never we have to have a speedy wedding because somebody's pregnant or whatever. They don't do that in Hallmark.
He's in the army or something?
No, he's an actor in this one.
No, I
Yeah.
know, but the reason why she has to have the fast wedding.
Oh, maybe he is in the army. Maybe I get
I
confused
haven't
because sometimes
seen
they
it in a little bit, but
Yeah,
that's what I was
he's either
thinking
in-
was the reason.
I think he
but-
might be. Yeah, I think I might be confusing with the other movie that they had to speed up the wedding because he was a doctor going somewhere. But anyway, he starts planning this. He's not even the one getting married, and he is the ultimate bridezilla in this movie. And I was like, poor Rachel Scarston, because she has to also, of course, she has got to save her business. And she's
Mhm.
planning this wedding, and it is like over the top, and his sister's like, yeah, I guess. And I don't know, them two made it work. It's cute. It's cute enough, and
Yeah.
But just the fact I like it that he is the bridezilla. He's not even getting married, but he is the one who's like, this isn't good enough. This isn't stuff because plus, he's famous, Rachel, and he's not happy with his life and his career because, yeah, one would complain at that point, like, oh,
Mhm.
I was
Mhm.
find it so famous. I'm sorry. I find it always funny. And maybe I feel that way too if I was like rich and famous and doing the same thing over and over again. But like you're still getting paid to do something that you love. And he's like, so my career has no direction. And I was like, bro, you can afford this wedding. You're fine.
Mhm.
You're getting this nice house.
Yeah, I
It's so
can
mean
see
of me to
it.
say that. It's so mean of me to say like,
Yeah,
oh,
it
what
is
was
sort of
it,
small violins. Like,
Yeah,
we're
but
sorry for you.
sorry, but it's one of those.
Yeah. My number 6 is Thanksgiving House. I really enjoyed it
Mhm.
though. I thought it was very fun
Yeah.
just to like watch this old school Hallmark movie with
Well,
the
that lady, that
bad man of
blogger was a
business
trip.
and the
Yeah.
the lines like when did you stop caring about money? Like things like that. Like who
I
says that?
also I love it too because the bad man of business and the evil blogger get
Yeah.
together at the end.
Yeah, I love
And it's
that.
like
That was great.
perfect. It's so
Yeah.
perfect. They get to go on a cruise together. I was like, these people are shady and they love it. That Boston accent that he was doing, I
Yeah.
was like, I don't know if this is good or not. I don't.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, because I have family up in Massachusetts all over the place. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, he's the only one trying to do an accent. And he's trying to do the Boston accent. And I'm
He
like,
was
I do not
really
know. I
trying
don't
hard.
know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like at first it irritated me, but then I got over it. And I was like, I
Yeah.
guess,
Well, what
not
do you
enough
have?
wickeds
Yeah.
in
What do
that
you have
movie.
at 5?
5 is a Jingle Bell Bride.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. At 5 for me is where I have a Christmas song.
Mm-hmm. Ah,
I think this is cute.
it is.
It's not like a huge Christmas movie. I mean, aside from the Christmas music, it's really just like a
Yeah.
competition.
Yeah.
2 teachers competing, and
Yeah.
they're
With kids, and,
but
helping them out with their drama.
yeah, but I like the community spirit of it. I think that Gabriel
Yeah.
Hogan has rarely been as charming on a Hallmark movie. He's
Oh,
really
he's so
good in this.
delightful. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
That and the one
really.
he does with Alicia Witt. Well, he
I
actually
think
did
he's
2 of them
better,
with her.
and well, it depends. He's in 2 with
Yeah.
Alicia Witt. One I
Yes,
don't
he is
like,
with 2.
and the Christmas List I actually think is a very underrated, underappreciated Hallmark movie.
Agree.
And he's good in
Yeah.
that, but he's like definitely very supporting in that. This he's got like
Totally.
more personality and
Oh,
more
yeah.
character.
It's it's like these private schools merge, and so they
Yeah.
both have the same job. One is very classical and the other one isn't
Mhm.
as refined.
It's fun.
And they're both like music teachers who are competing for this
Yeah.
job. Like
I'd
one
never
of them is
seen
going to
this
be
one.
out.
This was new to
Yeah.
me.
This
And
is one that I wish would repeat because there's a
yeah.
sort of cutoff limit. It's like Hallmark just repeats, like especially during the Christmas time, up to 3-4 years maybe, and then occasionally
Yeah.
we get the super popular old ones up. And then of course, if anybody remembers that Hallmark drama exists, it might air, there. But I wish this one would air more because it is like I think it's a forgotten sort of Hallmark movie.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd never seen it, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was funny, and the 2 leads were charming and good enemies to lovers, kind of, their rivalry.
Yep.
It was
Mhm.
good. Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
So what do you have at 4?
This one is where I put Christmas wishes and mistletoe kisses.
Okay.
The name is deceiving for the film, but I mean it's Joe Wagner and Donna Mills as like this mean
Uh-huh.
boss, and I don't know. I like it more. I think I definitely like it more than you do. And the whole debacle of, is that dress green or black at the end?
Oh yeah. I
Which
forgot about that.
people like, I will admit that to be having a little bit of color blindness at the end. Is that black? Is that green? I don't know.
I forgot about
But
that. Yeah, because I said on the
yeah,
podcast that I was like, why is her dress black? And people were like, no, it's green.
it's green. I thought it was green, and I'm like, I think it's green, but I don't know. I could,
Yeah, that's
Ooh,
true.
Ella. But I like it. And this is
It's
also
harmless. It's
yeah,
fine.
it's like a
Yeah.
single mom who is okay. Like, she has career aspirations, and she's not really giving anything up. She's a single mom trying to do the best for her kid, but she keeps her career aspirations intact. She doesn't
It's
really
just-
have to give anything up.
Just too much time shopping, and I just wish that she had gone with
Exactly. It
Brandon
is
Quinn. instead.
yeah. Yeah,
But
because he's so
but,
grouchy at first. They have to melt his heart.
I guess, yeah.
So.
Well, my number 4 is Noelle Next Door.
Uh-huh.
Really charming. I like the fact that they make him he's got a reason, like, to be upset and to be cranky.
For sure. Yeah, he's
Like,
depressed and he's cranky.
the fact he can't, like, walk to get his mail without cords, and
that kid
and
was
things.
terrible. Yeah.
Like, he
also,
has
her kid was
every
terrible.
valid reason to be upset and frustrated. And if he keeps telling this boy to stop throwing
Yeah,
his
he was
ball,
a punk.
and
This kid was a punk.
yeah. But
and the evil little pictures they draw, like, because at first, they don't get along. Oh my god!
But I love Natalie. I guess she's my she's my Jill Wagner. I mean, I like Jill too, but
sure, yeah,
but
I
really
she's
do
fun
love
in
Natalie,
this.
and I like that she brings a lot of humor, I think, to the role.
Yeah.
And I thought that, I don't know, I just enjoyed this one.
This one is pretty funny. He has a legit reason.
Yeah.
He suffered something. He had a stroke, and he was a
Mm-hmm.
musician, and he's just learning to adapt to his new life. But also, I thought they were brave enough to show that she didn't get along with her ex-husband, that they had to deal with their issues.
True.
And she's a struggling mom who lives in a giant house. I'll never understand these ladies. It's always like this. They complain about money and they don't know how to survive, and they live in a huge house with expensive stuff.
Right.
That's
true.
It is a problem of, like, movies like this, with the set design, like, so huge. But
true.
also, they weren't afraid to go there also with his wife going, I just can't handle you being disabled and sick now. It was too much for her. And that might be mean, but there are people who can't handle those sort of situations.
It was pretty real, but I
like that aspect of it.
Yeah. But it had a sense of humor to it. Like, when he would come in and make his orders, and he would, like, like, there was a sarcasm to it that made me laugh.
I do know that this shocked many people because of the grocery store scene. I had to laugh when he admits that he's looking for more fiber, that he needs more fiber, and then he catches himself like, why did I tell this lady that she needs more fiber? And then, of course, that awkward mention, because she has a box of feminine hygiene needs, I don't want to offend anybody to clutch their pearls, but I can remember the reaction. I thought that was funny, and I was like, so true to life, because many times I have run into people I did not want to run in when I had to buy stuff that you don't want people to see you buy at the store. You're okay with with strangers ringing it up or whatever, but you don't want to run into somebody you know. But, like, so many people were clutching their pearls and fainting, and how dare they? This is supposed to be a family movie.
Plus, there's nothing like unfamily about, like,
we need to calm down, because this is life. Like, if
you
end up marrying,
it shouldn't be any more embarrassing buying tampons than it is buying toilet paper. It's just
absolutely. And so that scene when he comes, I guess you need that, and
too.
she's like, sure, but he's so like, I need more fiber, and then he puts his mouth again. Goes, well, I guess you need that, and she's shaking it in the air and going, I guess so. I love that, because
there's a nice sense of humor to the movie.
There's a nice sense of humor, and I was like, yes, they're not afraid to make jokes of, like, the obvious, and it's true to that, and it just brought a little bit more realism to, like, because he's super cranky at times. Like, oh my gosh, that poor guy who runs the neighborhood, like, who has to take care of all that place, and he's constantly complaining. It's like, it's a subtle shot. shovel sidewalk enough? Are you gonna be all right? And there's just a lot of charm in this one.
Yeah,
It was a
yeah.
great way to start off last
It
year.
was a good one. All right. My number 3 is, oh wait, where are we?
Oh,
Sorry.
I didn't do my number 3.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's your number 3?
My number 3, this one's a weird one. I don't know why I love this one so much. It's One Starry Christmas. It's basically a road trip movie. I mean, she's an astronomer who meets a hot cowboy, and she has the worst boyfriend, but he also likes astronomy. So, and shenanigans happen on the road trip, and I find it super cute. And I watched it a couple of years ago for the first time. I had never seen it before, and I was like, I can't believe how cute this. I just found it adorable. To
Yeah.
me, it was adorable.
Yeah, I love
And
it.
that's my number 3.
Yeah, it's a really good one. My number 3 is where I have Love's Christmas Journey. I love the
Yeah.
series.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed, watching
It
this.
went out on a strong note for
Yeah, it's a little
on the
too.
series.
It does not need to be 3 hours long. What do they think they are, Martin Scorsese?
I'm
here?
surprised they even. I know. I was really, because they had stopped doing miniseries at that point, and I guess they just wanted to go out with a bang, or perhaps that they were trying to get more interest to keep going on with the series.
Maybe,
Who knows?
maybe.
But
But other than that, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And so, what do you have at 2?
Christmas Song.
Oh, okay.
This one's I also enjoy because they kind of actually probably the movie, and I can't remember it, where they are competing. She's I think it was last year with Brendan Penny, where
Yeah,
he's the
In
choir
Merry
teacher.
Measure.
Yes, and they're sort of
Love that.
competing with their choirs. It's kind of almost
Yeah.
the same vibe to Christmas Song.
That's true. There's a lot more music in this than in that.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's on the same level, sort of,
Mhm. I loved In
But
Merry
I just
Measure.
found it charming, and like Natasha Hendricks, I thought she was good. She has a couple of Hallmark movies back in the day, and I just thought that they worked. They're good, and
Yeah.
I liked it because they were playing their age. They were playing adults.
Mhm.
They weren't playing like 10 years younger than they were, and so it was believable.
And I think Heartline fans will enjoy
Oh,
this
yeah,
because I just
yeah.
can't think of another Gabriel Hogan movie that's better. I think this is
Yeah,
I mean, that or Christmas List are the best.
absolutely. I would say those are his 2 tops. Yeah.
For sure. It was a nice surprise when you watch one of the old ones that that ends up being really good. Well, my number 2 is where I have Marry Me at Christmas. I really enjoy this movie.
Yeah.
I think that Trevor Donovan makes a very convincing movie star. He's got those
Exactly.
kind of
He
like,
does.
Ken doll looks. He
And
works for that.
not the first time he's played a movie star for Hallmark. Yeah.
And I think that they are really missing out on the whole. They should do more in the Fool's Gold series. Susan Mallory, she's a good writer, and her, like, Julie Sherman Wolfe taking the bones of the story and adding her wit, and it just elevates it above what it would normally be. I think this has a really solid cast. I love Emily Tennant. I like, Rachel Scarsdale, Trevor Donovan, Crystal Lowe. It's got a really good cast.
This is another one where her hair is very stiff. Beautiful curls though.
Yeah,
but
it's pretty rare to have curly hair in a Hallmark movie.
It is true. It's usually, I think this is a crime amongst many holiday movies, but the women always have long flowing hair.
That's one thing I really loved in Well Suited for Christmas on Lifetime was,
yes.
I mean, I loved everything about that movie, but the her curly hair was really fun.
Yeah.
But anyway, their chemistry isn't like amazing, but it's serviceable, and the script is fun as they're trying to plan this event for his sister. And he's kind of cocky, and they don't get along at first, and
he's really doing it. He's paying for this and stuff, but he is doing it as a gift and out of love for his sister. But like he does, I do love how he becomes a sort of bridezilla, and it is really that makes me chuckle.
Yeah. So I haven't seen it in a while, but I do have fond memories of it, enjoying it.
Yeah.
So I have it at number 2. So all right, what's your number 1?
My number 1 is Noel Next Door.
Okay.
It was so refreshing to see. It it did not break the mold, but it is a different. It added a couple of more pieces to the mold of these Christmas rom-coms, and I
Mhm.
think they had good chemistry together. And I don't know, it was fresh, it was new, and it's also positive to like, hey man, he had a stroke, he is disabled, but his life is not over, and he had to
Yeah.
get over that hump. And I thought that was also a good message. Like you got humps in life and all these bumps, but keep going, it's going to get better.
I
It
agree.
might take a
Yeah.
while, but it's going to get there.
Yeah,
So
I agree. Yeah, I agree with everything you said. My number one is One Starry Christmas. I think this is an
yes,
outstanding
so
Hallmark movie.
it
I
totally is.
Damon Runyon is so hunky. I mean, I love me a
Always great at playing
cowboy.
cowboy. I
I
know.
love
Always
me a hunky
love.
cowboy.
He's so polite.
Yeah, and in
And
the
she has the
city.
worst boyfriend. I
Oh
know.
yeah, she has the
She has
worst.
the worst boyfriend. And I mean, it's a shame she hasn't been back for any more Hallmark movies.
Yeah, Sarah Carter. I kind of like it when
Yes.
you have new. I mean, even though Damon Runyon,
Yeah.
we've seen him in a supporting role. I think this is the only
Right.
lead.
I believe so as
It
well.
just makes it stand out a little bit. It's fun.
Yeah.
The whole poem the
I
New Year's
guess.
sites about the oh, I wish I had it in front of me, but the fairy tale, that he cites
Yeah.
about the.
It's so sweet.
Oh,
And
it's
then they
so
when they go see
good.
his
And he's riding up
family.
on that horse in the middle of New York City.
Yeah. Oh man. And they go
And
see
he's
her,
so
his
sad
family.
when he thinks she's going with the other guy. And she's
Yeah.
like, oh
It
no.
was like brutal. What a brutal, like,
So
you just
good.
like the minute they sit next to each other on the bus, you're like, yes, this man, I don't even know him, but he's 1,000 times better than making her
Yeah.
take that bus and stuff like that.
I
Oh,
mean, this
it's
is one
so
of those
sweet.
movies where I really think if you don't appreciate this on some level, like getting some
Right.
level of enjoyment out of this film, I just don't think this genre is for you. Like, what else could
Exactly.
they do? Like, this is
Yeah,
so well executed and charming, and I don't know. Like, that's fine if it's not the genre for you, but I just really think that this has got it all.
totally. And
Yeah,
also, I think it's a forgotten Hallmark movie
I do
because
too.
again, it's from 2014, so it's
Mm-hmm.
buried. It's not in rotation. It is on the streaming service. But like it's buried in rotation, and maybe it pops up on Hallmark drama, but not everybody has that. And let's be honest, people don't even know that channel exists. But it's like,
Yeah,
it's like, oh, I wish they would dedicate one day a week for just classic
I do too.
movies, and not the classic movies from 3 or 4 years ago. Like, you have such a such a
Well,
vast amount of programming. Go in
well,
there.
and I'll put a link. I've had so much fun with Thaddeus going back. We didn't do this one, but going back and watching some of these classics, and we even watched the first 3 Hallmark Christmas movies from the 1970s, and that was
Right.
I
The Hall
love
of
that
Fame
episode
ones,
of the
right? Yeah.
podcast. That was one of my
Yeah.
favorites.
So
But yeah, it's
they have a treasure
it
trove.
would be nice if
Yeah.
if they look back on some of these hidden gems. It really would.
Yeah.
It really would. Well, so let's go over our list, and then I'll share with the patrons picks. So I have 'Tis the Season for Love at 14, The Night Before Christmas 13, The National Tree at 12, Christmas Wishes and Mistletoe Kisses at 11, View Me and the Christmas Trees at 10, Christmas at Pemberley Manor at 9, A Wish for Christmas at 8, Jingle Bell Bride at 7, The Thanksgiving House at 6, Christmas Song at 5, Noel Next Door at 4, Love's Christmas Journey at 3, Marry Me at Christmas at 2, and One Starry Christmas at 1.
And I've got at 14, Christmas at Pemberley Manor. 13 is the National Tree. 12, You, Me, and the Christmas Tree. Number 11, A Wish for Christmas. Number 10, 'Tis the Season for Love. Number 9, The Night Before Christmas. I've got the Thanksgiving House at number 8. 7, Love's Christmas Journey. 6, Marry Me at Christmas. I'm sorry. Yes. 5 is a Jingle Bell Bride. 4, Christmas Wishes and Mistletoe Kisses. One Starry Christmas at number 3. Christmas Song at number 2. And my number 1 is Noel Next Door.
And so Steve Hahn in the patrons, he says, I've actually seen about 2/3 of these. I liked a lot. Marry Me at Christmas, just generally pleasant. Plus Emily Tennant
Yep.
fan. No, Noel Next Door, light tone, good characters. And then he has liked One Starry Christmas. Sarah, I'm a Sarah Carter fan. I don't see what she ever saw in The Wrong Guy though, and it felt like a pretty star was an odd topic for an astronomy thesis. Fair enough. Fair enough. The 'Tis the Season for Love and A Wish for Christmas on his likes. Either didn't like or just thought were boring, formulaic. Christmas song, Christmas at Pemberley Manor. Why did they even bother trying to link it to Pride and Prejudice? Absolutely. Christmas Wishes and Mistletoe Kisses. It's a basic party planning. Jingle
Yeah.
Bell Bride, Yumi and the Christmas Trees. It's a boring scientific farmer. You can tell he's a fan of the podcast because I think I invented that term. So Becky Schovener says One Starry Christmas is in my top 10 Hallmark Christmas faves of all time. It's crazy corny, but unique and sweet. And we watch it every year.
Yep.
Yeah, good choice. So there we
And
go. So if
the-
you want to be a part of these ranking episodes, join the Patreon and we would sure appreciate it. It would help us so much. And I'll have all the information in the description to support the Patreon. And Terry, where can people find you?
Twitter at Flurry Heaven.
And if you want to suggest ranking episodes that we could do during the holidays, put it in the comments section as well, or on Patreon, because we're looking for some doing some creative stuff on Mondays. Because we're not going to have very many interviews with the actor strike still going strong. So anyway, if you have ideas, let us know. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod, Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. Check out our ranking, all of our ranking episodes. They're a lot of fun. And if you're listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews 5 stars. It really helps us a lot, especially during the holiday season, for people to find us. So please do that. And then we also, if you are watching or listening on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Most of our viewers on YouTube aren't subscribed. So if you're in that camp, please subscribe. It really helps the algorithm a lot. It's a little thing you can do to help the podcast a lot. And then we also have the patron group, like we've said, and the merch store where we're going to have some brand new designs, and we have some Barbie influenced designs that are coming out this holiday season. So please check out the merch. I think you'll love it. And thanks so much, everybody. And let us know your favorites from Countdown to Christmas, the first movies. And we'll talk to y'all later. Merry Christmas, everyone. Bye.
Merry Christmas. Bye.